fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard youth and Wilt, coming at you live from the West Coast. And this is the Fantasy Football Show. Today's episode, Super Bowl weekend wrap up. So I know you watched the game yesterday if you are watching this video. So we are going to go over our takeaways, our predictions, off-season stuff, all throughout this episode. So before we get into everything, Jason, do you want to tell the public how they can help this show?
Oh yeah, you guys can help this show, and we would appreciate a little help with the show if we could get some subscriptions. We get a little subscriptions, and if we could also get some likes. We've actually gotten a couple more subscriptions this week. We gotten some likes. We've even got some comments. We got some comics from Rick and Morty. It's been great. Talking to people who don't like football. With that being said, you can also find us on Instagram, the Fantasy Football Show.
Nice. Pretty soon that little logo will be there for everything because I need to learn Jason's ways, and it's probably easy, just add some picture, but whatever. Anyways, so last episode that we did, we went over a ton of predictions. Oh yeah, before we get into that, Jason, the only person that I got notified on my phone that subscribed was Tipster the Tortoise. So shout out to Tipster the Tortoise, man. And and what was this? Rick Sanchez, right? Shout out to you. Thanks for commenting. That's awesome. Even if you don't like football, hey, I mean, you made it clear that was a crappy call yesterday, dude. And I agree. So before we get into that discussion, Jason,
yeah,
the Eagles played the Chiefs.
Yeah.
For the Super Bowl yesterday. This is Patrick Mahomes. He made the AFC Championship 5 years in a row. This is his second Super Bowl in the last 4 years. Third Super Bowl in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So this is some crazy stuff going on. Jason, I'm pulling up the scores.
MVP. It was 38-35 Chiefs. I was going into this one thinking, this was going to be a pretty high scoring game, but I was thinking with the Eagles having the better defense, they were going to be able to scratch out a win. I didn't know the Eagles were also going to have to play against the refs. Actually, they didn't. It's not like they were playing against them like all, against the refs like all game, whatnot. The refs did a pretty good job. They just that last call, that holding call, it was just. I feel like 90. There was only one pass interference or a holding call throughout the whole game. And it was at that moment, like at the 1:30 mark. And 90% of that time, like that call is not going to be, that infraction is not going to be called. And it's like you're just letting them play. It's a Super Bowl, but because it was such a huge moment, it really dictated the rest of the game. Once that happened, once they did that, there was, still a minute 30. And I was pretty much like, I was so frustrated with the anti-climatic game that I was kind of not even paying attention like the last minute of the game. I started cleaning because I had people over. I started cleaning. I was putting things away, just getting ready for the rest of the night. I was very frustrated that a game that both these teams played really good, that it came down to that call against Juju.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening to Chris Long on the Rich Eisen show, and he was saying, man, there was a point in the fourth quarter where I thought this was, the greatest Super Bowl I've ever watched. And I was thinking the same thing. I was going back and forth texting my dad. And man, there was huge plays. I mean, Jaylen Hurts was playing, both quarterbacks were both playing amazing. Kind of reminded you of the Patrick Mahomes versus, the Bills and Josh Allen, kind of ish. But in the Super Bowl, so it was even better. And then to see it in like that, man, and and then I think what made it even worse was the pass that he threw was was uncatchable anyways, and the angle they showed, and then Chris Long was even saying he was kind of upset, but then Greg Olsen talked him into being really upset.
Yeah.
And so I just listened to Mike Pereira, who was on the Rich Eisen show too, and he was saying that that was a legitimate call, but there was a big missed call on Juju Smith-Schuster because we could talk about how that hurt the Eagles or helped the Eagles earlier on. I don't know if that was in the first half or maybe it was in the third quarter. Must have been it was in the first half because Patrick Mahomes did not throw an incomplete pass. You know, it was a throwaway. But other than that, no incomplete passes in the second half. So, but dude, that non-call on whoever it was on Juju Smith-Schuster on that crucial third down was huge. So as far as consistency goes, I think that's what bothers everybody. Dude, what else? Oh, but to get back to that, my point was Mike Pereira was really upset at Greg Olsen.
Well, yeah. I don't know if you could go back. Anybody's watching, like, go back through the audio between them. It's funny. I just heard it again today. They were talking about it, and it was just like he's like, "Well, yeah, it's kind of this play was just like I don't know if I would have called it. It's a big, it's a Super Bowl. Kind of let him play on." Mike's like, "Well, the rules are the rules. I mean, let's follow the rules, or there'll be anarchy among us all." And he was just like, "Well, I don't know. I can see what you're talking about, but to call that, I'm just like, I'm not sure." And I'm totally on Greg's side, but I get it. I get it, right? It was a holding call, but I feel 90% of the time that's not going to be called. And it's like if you would have made that call in the first quarter, we wouldn't be making a big deal about it, right? But because it was just a huge play, it was a 3rd down and 8. They stopped them. The Eagles had a chance to get the ball, and it was like they call that. It was kind of just deflating to like the Eagle fans and most of the people. Like I'm not a fan of either team, but I was pretty much deflated after that. I was like, oh man, like you were. It was a great game leading up to that point, and then you were just like, oh, okay. So now they're just gonna strategically, which any smart person would do, is just kneel the ball down a few times, kick the field goal, give the ball back to the Eagles with 8 seconds left. I think because of how well the game was being played, we wanted something better. We wanted the last Hail Mary, or we wanted that drive, that staple drive to really mark the Super Bowl, but we didn't. We're going to get the ticky-tack holding call that, what's that guy's name? Cranberry juice? Burberry?
Like Brayberry, something like that, Brayberry or something.
Berry, ticky-tack hold.
James Bradbury.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, that sucks. But like Mike Pereira was saying, like, hey, dude, like you can't, like it's hard enough to ref this game anyways, let alone like situationally, like to have to adjust on situations. And I totally understand that. But I think the biggest thing was that non-call earlier, and then you call this, and then he also explained the late call because late flag. He said late flag is like a huge, like it always upsets everybody. They think it's like people changing their mind, right? He says that you have to see the hold because the hold has to happen like after he throws the ball or something. So it's like he broke down the process, and it actually did make sense. Like if you have to see the hold, and then you have to go look at the quarterback to see if he threw it, or if it's in or to see if it's in his hands still or not. Because if it's still in his hands, I guess you can hold. I don't remember, but it was some kind of long process. It takes a little bit longer than you think.
Well, I think if the ball is out of his hands, it becomes pass interference.
So that's so I guess he's got to look and then see. I don't know. He explained it, and it kind of made sense. He said he's going to write a book on it, but I was like, dude, I just thought it was stupid. And it just like, and a huge thing was Mike Pereira was saying, and a huge thing is that people are upset by is because they wanted to see the Eagles get the ball back for one more drive. And so that's the referees playing towards the fans' wants, not just like sticking strict to the game. But at the same time, dude, I see this stuff. The first thing I thought was, the NFL is pushing Patrick Mahomes over Jaylen Hurts. They think that this is going to, build the brand better than the Eagles winning. So it's just like, that was my first thought. I don't know what you thought.
Well, no, I completely agree to what you're saying. Is like, this is what I saw, right? And this is what really made me upset was you saw incompletion. You see Patrick Mahomes pointing, going, ah! Then you see a flag come out. And so it's just like, wait, did Patrick Mahomes just tell him to throw that dirty laundry on the field? It's probably not exactly how it went, but as a fan watching it from TV who can't afford $5,000 Super Bowl tickets, that's what I see. And I'm just like, bro, what am I watching right now? Like, is this scripted? Are we all part of this reality of a scripted NFL? Like,
I know, dude.
Excuse me, sorry. It is pretty frustrated. I'm not necessarily sure that's what happened. I know there's a process of looking both ways and whatnot. at the hold football, ball, but I still feel like, the ball was in the air for quite a long time and hit the ground, and then even a couple seconds after that, the flag came out. So this is going to be something that's going to be discussed for like a very long time, and probably for at least is going to be the talk for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I'm already aware of this happening in the NBA, dude. I've watched the NBA forever. Yeah, dude. I hate that in the NBA about referees having so much influence. I mean, dude, if the Warriors are losing, oh my god, dude, there's a million, ticky tack penalties on the other team till the Warriors get back, man, because Steph Curry's the face of the league. And then in the what else was I thinking? What else? What other sport? Oh, baseball. Baseball, dude, you can't really manipulate that except for the umpire, and that's been happening for 200 years. So I mean, whatever with baseball. But they're gonna come out with robot umpires soon, apparently. Hopefully that whatever. I
I
don't know.
know.
Anyways, Jason, I do want to tell you that we were watching the Warriors versus the Lakers, and my dad is now Warrior. I knew my dad was a Warriors fan, but he's all, "Come on, guys, let's do this." I thought he was talking about the Lakers, dude. He's talking about the Warriors, man. He's like, we. And I'm like, you're the reason I'm a Lakers fan. We grew up, man. It was crazy. It was crazy stuff.
Oh, it's 2023. Lakers on the down, and how are the Warriors doing?
They're not as good as advertised, and Steph Curry is injured right now, but they're not. They went from like being the favorite in the West, and now it's the Suns are the favorite.
Oh, how are they not the favorite? They could be in last place right now and still be the favorite with getting Kevin Durant.
Right. So, anyways, yeah, that sucked. The penalty sucked, but we'll get into this more. But first off, Jason, I do want to say, you and I both said over on the over and under, and by God, dude, we hit that. It's like what, 73 points or something like that. So,
yeah, you sent me a text and you're like, "We're over." And I'm just like, "We are geniuses. We did it!" And I swear, 3 minutes later, they already equal to like 70 points. I'm like, "Damn, they really just."
yeah, I mean, I thought that was the easiest bet. I think you thought that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, getting in, do you want to you want to talk about the what do you want to talk what would you like to talk about first, Jason? We could either talk about what we saw, like what won the game and what lost the game, or do you want to go through our predictions first?
Um, let's do predictions real quick.
No worries, because we could probably go through that anyways.
I do like discussing what we thought winner lost the game.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of opinions on that too.
All right, first off, let's go with the MVP. Now, I'm not talking about Patrick Mahomes. If the Eagles would have won, it would definitely gone to Jaylen Hurts. I had him down as 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 total touchdowns. You had him as 202 and 1, 60 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. Tyler, he had 75 yards rushing. 70. Oh, wait, hold on. He had 70 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. And the one thing, like, I had like people over and I kept talking about this. I was like, I didn't want them to get within the 10-yard line. I kept saying, I was like, I need AJ Brown to do well. I need some passing touchdowns. But every time they get in the 10-yard line, there's no passing involved on this team. They don't pass the ball. Tyler, the third rushing touchdown that Jaylen Hurts got, I believe it was from 3 yards out. It was on the 3-yard line, and they just did a quarterback push. They pushed that mofo. They're like, it don't matter. We're not going to pass the ball. We'll do a 7-yard quarterback sneak if we have to. Got him in there. I mean, I think I saw more quarterback sneaks in this game than I did all season.
And I do want to say, Jason, this is a hot topic on all these shows that I watch and everything is. So that rule about aiding a player, pushing him from behind, that was a relatively new rule that was implemented. I don't know when, but I think the Eagles are going to get that taken out next year. That's going to be on the hot plate. So the Eagles, man, like literally, like just abused that rule with Jaylen Hurts, and now next year, it's going to be on like what the competition committee's plate to take that away. So because you saw that game, dude, that was like so much of that game.
That's all it was. I'm pretty sure that's how Jaylen Hurts got 30 of his 70 rushing yards was through quarterback sneaks. And I could be wrong, but I do know I don't know if they ever changed it, but you weren't always allowed to push quarterbacks in college. And the reason why I know that is because the famous USC Notre Dame game where supposedly um, Matt Leinart was doing a quarterback sneak and Reggie Bush came and pushed him, but they were like, "Oh no, he didn't push him," even though he obviously did push him in the end zone, and they were because everyone was debating that should have been a penalty, but the ref said they didn't push him. He didn't push it for some reason. So, and that was a while ago, right? That was like 2004 or 5. So since then, but so that is rule at least at college, unless they changed it recently.
Right. So, Jason, you were pretty close on your prediction with that. Closer than I was at least. And then,
Well, to kind of go off of that, he had 300 yards. I didn't think he was going to do that much. I didn't think they were going to pass as much. I thought they were going to try to run the ball a lot more, but they really did not run the ball as much. Um, I think like I was closer with the passing, but you were like dead on with the rushing. Like, and I was actually surprised.
did I put attempts on there too? Right?
No, I don't think we did attempts.
Ah,
But I mean, he had 15 attempts. He more than half than Kenneth Gainwell, and I was very surprised. Normally, when we see these RPOs, he usually hands it off, but I don't know, maybe because they didn't have success early with it, that they just kind of like gave up with running up the middle.
well,
But
so I mean, dude, 32 for 115, Jason. Like that is their lowest. I mean, I wish I would have had more time to do research before this, with work and everything, but that's got to be one of their lowest rushing totals. Like I almost saw this being flipped, like 300 yards rushing and 115. But what's crazy, Jason, is they didn't really need to run the ball to have the time of possession. They dominated time of possession without running the ball.
in the first half, yeah,
Mm.
the whole I guess they kind of just did a weird thing. Normally, when you're trying to keep the ball out of the quarterback's hand, you run it, but they were keeping the ball out of Mahomes' hands by throwing it. He just kept converting. Jaylen Hurts, he was great in the first half. He was great. He had that
So
one deep ball to 45-yard touchdown to AJ Brown. That was a beautiful pass. That was awesome. The route, he had time. He had a beautiful deep ball and caught it. It looked good.
I went from first to like fourth because I didn't pick any Eagles or I picked all 49ers and Bengals in the fantasy football playoff challenge. But hey, dude, if you got Jaylen Hurts on your team and you got that multiplier going, like you won your league. And that's what happened to us. He had the fourth most fantasy points scored in the Super Bowl of all time, right above a Jerry Rice and in 1990 and behind Steve Young, 1995, Jerry Rice. Dude, number one, Jason, do you remember this? 2017, James White. 14 receptions for it was just insane, this stuff. I had to blow it up. It's not
That's
showing
funny.
on my full
Against
screen.
the Falcons.
Yeah, and this was like Jaylen Hurts now becomes like the second quarterback to lose a Super Bowl after some lead at halftime. The first one was the Falcons. So
Um, I think that Steve Young is when he threw for 6 touchdowns against the Chargers,
I can I wanted to see what this was.
which I believe is the NFL record.
Passing 6 touchdowns, yeah. It's crazy, dude. Anyways, so Jaylen Hurts, man, amazing fantasy year. He literally, and like watching him throw the ball, like he is really good on intermediate stuff and short stuff. DeVonta Smith, I thought like died 3 times. And then like really, dude. And AJ Brown adjusting to that deep ball gave me a lot more respect for him. Oh yeah, he's a pencil, Jason.
DeVonta Smith, I have one of his legs. This is his left leg right here. I was like, holy crap, because there was a second where he like hurt his leg and he was kind of like wobbling. I was like, no wonder he hurt his leg. He doesn't have a calf. He doesn't have a calf.
He made me feel pretty good about myself. I was like, hey man, maybe I should play football for the Eagles.
DeVonta Smith did play pretty well though.
Oh yeah, but we can get into that in a minute. But yeah, dude. So I forgot what I just said. Somebody just texted me. I'm trying to get somebody to subscribe to our channel. My old friend,
Nice.
my disc golf buddy. But anyways, Jason. So what was I talking about? Well, oh yeah, Jaylen Hurts doing that stuff. So I thought Miles. Oh yeah, next year, Jason. I think that this. I'll just be real fast. I just want to say that Jalen Hurts, dude, is on a tier. This almost makes me want to put him up with Patrick Mahomes, but I'm still not. I almost want to put him above Josh Allen next year.
So I'm glad that you said that, because part of the reason why Jalen Hurts is who he is in fantasy football is because his rushing touchdowns. What normally happens to quarterbacks rushing touchdowns the following year?
They always go down, but that's after they get paid too. I don't think he's going to get paid for a little bit.
Um, yeah, well, was it like 4-5 years for a rookie contract?
I think he's on a 4 because he was a second round pick.
But we'll see. I think that's what normally happens. When you have like these huge. Maybe the only person I noticed that didn't really do that was Cam Newton.
Mm.
I think. Well, I think he kind of was. He stayed consistent rushing touchdowns. So if you feel like that he's going to stay consistent and get his rushing touchdowns, which is a possibility, because like I said, the Eagles do not throw the ball within the 10-yard lines, and they'll do a quarterback sneak from 3 yards out just to get Jalen Hurts in there. Yeah, he could be up there with Josh Allen for sure.
All right, dude. So we went across this. Jalen Hurts was the rushing attack. I did think that I literally thought he might get 15 rushes. I didn't think he was going to get 3 touchdowns. I predicted the yards well, but that's whatever. I did not think they were going to have nearly the passing yards, which is crazy to me. But they, there was a tight game for a minute because of that fumble, so they had to keep up. And anyways, Jason, I thought Miles Sanders was going to do something with his life, and then I was like, dude, Boston Scott's going to take over this game. And Kenneth Gainwell, dude, it was all just kind of like very, disappointing. Everybody not Jalen Hurts, and you saw, dude, like the Chiefs defense was playing great against the run last night.
Yeah, they definitely did. That was like one of the staple points of the Eagles. I said earlier they were like number 1 in rushing attempts in the whole year, and they only did 32, and 15 carries of those came from the quarterback. They really did not. I mean, maybe because so the Chiefs have one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Maybe that's what they thought. That's what they were going to attack, and they just, they gave up on the rushing so early. Because also, man, they had the lead, then the tie, then had the lead. They go into halftime. I think they were only up by like 7. I can't quite remember, but they had the lead, thinking they were going to run the ball more, especially in the second half, and that didn't happen. So I predicted. Where's this fool at? Where do I got? Miles Sanders. I thought this guy was going to get 95 yards and a touchdown. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Let me see. Is that what you had too? I can't remember.
I thought it was like something like I thought it was a touchdown and close to 90 yards.
You had 80 yards and a touchdown. And we were off. And even when there's times where it's like, all right, the guy on the goal line, maybe they'll hand it off. It didn't matter. They just kept giving it to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and it's funny because Kenneth Gainwell's been their most effective runner for like the last month, and again, he kind of was. So going into next season, I kind of had Miles Sanders up there because he was a huge value this year, and this is like you're probably going to still be, if you want Miles Sanders next year, you can still get him later. He might be somebody I look at, Jason, when I've got my wide receiver and my quarterback early.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Eagles stay true to who they are and just rush the ball all the time,
yeah,
you got to
they
get
feast on bad teams.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. So we took a lot of time on some of this, but we'll just keep on going.
All right.
AJ Brown, Jason.
AJ Brown. So, like I said, he had that amazing catch for a touchdown. That was beautiful. It was awesome. I digged it. I dug it. I had him for 7 receptions, 110 and 1 touchdown. You had him for 7 receptions, 90 yards on 1 touchdown. So
we did good on that one.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is with that is that he didn't even I feel like it took him a while to even get involved. Like they were really getting Smith involved in the first half. I was like, "Oh my god." I thought this was going to be an AJ Brown game where he was going to come out and, cuz he was kind of quiet in the 49er game. It was all the talk of DeVonta Smith. I thought it was going to maybe flip, Also, he's a big guy. You saw him catch that ball over 2 people. They looked tiny. They look like Ant-Man compared to this dude. And he's quick. He's got hands. He could jump the ball. But they were really going. He was really targeting. Jaylen Hurts was really targeting DeVonta Smith in this one.
Yeah, DeVonta Smith had 3 receptions in the first drive I saw, and I was like, oh, dude. Like, that's what I predicted, that DeVonta Smith was going to get the way higher volume. But then, AJ Brown picked it up. So you and I both did well on the AJ Brown stat. Jason, what did we do for DeVonta Smith?
So for DeVonta Smith, I put, because remember, I thought I was going to switch. So I did 5 receptions, 70 yards, which he basically got in the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
And you put 9 receptions, 100 yards.
Dang. I thought he got 9 targets and 100 yards. Man.
And a touchdown. You had him for and a touchdown too.
And he almost did. But he's got no calves. You got to have some calves for touchdowns.
Got to jump.
Next year, we're going to see him. He's going to probably subscribe to our show. He's going to show up with huge calf implants.
I know.
Don't do it, DeVonta. They'll slow you down, man.
Yeah.
So anyways, dude, I think that we did really well for our wide receiver options there.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
And then Dallas Goedert, he made some amazing plays, Jason.
Yes, I was. He had that beautiful catch that was kind of off his head between like 2 defenders, fingertips, dancing on the sideline. It was beautiful. Glad to see that happen. I was like, all right, give me another catch. All right, I had him for 700. Oh no,
700.
702. No, that was his total yards on the year. I had him for 670 and 1 touchdown. You had him for 680 and 1 touchdown.
I thought he had more. Dang, dude, so you did better, Jason. We both had 6.
Yeah, remember you were going to do 7, but you were like, "There's not that piece of the pie."
And look how big the pie was. It was actually a lot bigger than expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were both right. There was too big a piece of a pie, and he ended up with 6 receptions. That's what we had.
Dude, so we actually killed it considering, we're within like a touchdown or 10 yards on everything.
Yeah.
And our receptions were actually really close too. That was great. And then Jason, I do want to say next season, I would love to have either or, dude. I would love to stack Jaylen Hurts. If you get Jaylen Hurts, dude, try to stack him with DeVonta Smith or AJ Brown. That'd be amazing. Or Dallas Goedert. Goedert. Dude, Dallas Goedert is somebody I would love to target next season for a tight end, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great wide receiver. He's a great tight end. He would have put up bigger numbers this year, but he was hurt. I think any of those 3 players, you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody did Jaylen Hurts, AJ Brown, or DeVonta Smith, and then Dallas Goedert. Like I'm not going to be mad about that. The volume is there. Out of that, Smith had 9 targets, Brown had 8 targets, Goedert had 7 targets. 9, 8, 7. 7, 8.
And whereas I'm used to Miles Sanders catching a lot of passes, dude, he got the 1 target to Kenneth Gainwell's 4. So again, I don't know what's going on with Miles Sanders, if there's more of an injury or something that we know, or if he just in the doghouse or something.
I was thinking that too. I was like, why isn't Miles Sanders out there more? I was like, maybe he's hurt. Maybe stubbed his pinky toe. That grass, man, that grass was tearing them up, dude. They were like, everyone was switching shoes, dude. That was nothing. I'd be pissed off. I'm like, why isn't this grass not evergreen, bro? You guys are like chipping away all these grass blades. Like, we see what it does to Kyler Murray's knee, man. Like, that was like, and then like, the people I was with are like, what is that on the field? What's that on the field? I'm like, dude, that's chips of little sections of grass coming off, and it's just being flown everywhere. People are like twisting their ankles and stuff like that.
They said this has been an issue since the preseason, Jason, which I didn't. Nobody talked. Why didn't more people talk about this? I just heard it for the first time here. And then I was like, dude, this reminds me of like Talladega Nights, man. Just putting like advertising on everything, just like whatever, dude. And it was like scrape. And then I was like, at the end, I was really hoping that Butker slipped, because I was like, at least that would, offset that, just like, let's just send this to overtime pretty much. And let's see, because I don't want this call to determine the game. And, Greg Olsen set it up. And I was like, dude, Greg Olsen's going to he's actually is going to jinx this guy. But he made the field goal pretty easily.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Jason, what do we have for Patrick Mahomes?
Hey, you just want to take a little break, and we'll start the whole.
We have 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. All right, guys, check out this amazing clip. Don't ask who is on it. Just enjoy it. Don't think about too much. Don't ask what are these guys wearing? What are the noises I'm hearing? And we will be right back. Okay. We back. So we just covered all the Eagles, but Jason wants to talk about, what just happened today with the Eagles, coaches.
Yeah, I just wanted to also throw in their offensive coordinator is going to be the new coach for the Colts. And part of the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because we got a new coach going to the Colts. They got to draft a quarterback, right? He's got to have his own quarterback that he's going to make a team and build off of, right? That's got to happen. I feel like that's got to happen, right? Is it not going to happen? I don't know. I just want the Colts to get a quarterback so bad, and I feel like now with getting a new coach like this, it's going to happen. I'm excited.
They've already kind of talked about how they want to trade up and give away their future for a top quarterback this year. So Pat McAfee's talking about them getting CJ Stroud. So I haven't watched too much of CJ Stroud yet, just because I was going to get into college here in a minute. But the number one thing about next year, Jason, is there's supposed to be a ton, like the heaviest, the most talented running back pool in a long time. So I think it's going to align with us waiting on running backs next year.
Well, that's also the Colts are not really needing a running back, but that's good.
I'm just saying for like our draft strategy. Anyways, that's good information, Jason. We'll see how how much, if it's like a Brian Daboll situation and maybe Jaylen Hurts takes a step down next year, that'd be something to watch for. Anyways, let's get to the Chiefs MVP, Jason. Only, like I said, he had a rough first half. He got injured. I thought that was the game. I got pretty upset because when I watched him crying on the sideline, and his leg is moving like this. It's not in the opposite direction that it should not be doing. and so I was kind of nervous about all that because I wanted a good game and I predicted the Chiefs to win anyways. But he came out and did amazing. One incomplete pass second half, and that was a throwaway. So Jason, what did you think?
You said it in one of our last shorts, man. This guy's he's in the talk. He's in the talk now of he's still got so much time left too. He's still got so much time to do anything that he needs to do. I mean, if he goes like Brady, he's got another 15 years, to win some things. And you know what? Look at what this guy did too. He did it with basically no wide receiver core. That's part of the reason why I had Travis Kelce projected to do as well as I thought he was going to do, because I was like, who's he going to throw the ball to? We had some people step up for him, but and then when he hurt his ankle, I was like, oh, here we go. He be gone. He out of there. Man, that dude, he had 30 minutes to inject some freaking morphine in his ankle because Rihanna and her baby were work. And so by the time they came out, he was numb as hell. When he came out, he was all running for 23 yards to win the game. And anyway, that's a whole other conversation. That's where a beer time breakdown, get a little saucy up in it. But predictions. I have Patrick Mahomes because I made a statement that he probably has the most 300-yard games this year. So I put that he was going to have 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Tyler the Big Turd Ward put 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What this guy did, amazing stat, the greatest stats ever, because we were wrong. Our stats were saying that we were wrong. So that must mean he did even better. 182 and 3 touchdowns. No
Yeah.
interceptions though.
Yeah. And so this is the most balanced that they have ever been as far as rushing yards goes. Plus, you saw, I mean, a lot of it was Patrick Mahomes. Dude, Patrick Mahomes went 6 for 44. But the most of it was, dude, the time of possession in the first half was just non-existent. So it's like he played like, you know, 2 quarters and like 2.5 quarters of football almost. And he got 182 yards out of it. Like, I feel like he would have had like 350 and 4 had it been a full game of him, like, no, anyways. And then, the defense scored. So that's a whole field's length of drive, touchdown.
Yes.
And that's just the way it went. And then also the game plan in the second half kind of needed to protect him. So they ran the ball a lot more coming out, and a lot less movement and everything. So yeah, dude, it's not what we thought, but we got, 3 touchdowns we got right. And I got 3
Right.
interceptions, but at the same time, like I could easily see him throwing an interception with all these. He almost threw into Marquez Valdez Scout. Like, dude, his wide receiver core is so poor. It would have been easy to see him throwing an interception. But yeah, dude, this is like one of the greatest feats, as a quarterback coming from behind with no wide receivers. But he did get help from his defense because the defense was balling out.
Yeah, and another amazing stat that I'm seeing here, I'm looking directly into it. The eyeball of these numbers, the goose eggs, is that this guy wasn't even sacked once, and the Eagles I think they led the league in sacks. They had that amazing defensive line, but they were able to protect him. They protected his quarterback. They protected his quarterback.
So they were talking about the center being like him, and the 2 top centers in the league this year were actually Jason Kelce and this other guy. I don't even know his name, but I do know Tooney. I guess Tooney is gonna be an all-pro guard this year. That was the guard they got from the Patriots. And usually that's a bad idea to get an offensive lineman from the Patriots because that's usually means it's going to do terrible for you. But anyways, dude, like their rebuilt offensive line did so well. And you can say like, yeah, so the Eagles got screwed on that last drive, but if you give up a fumble for a touchdown and you do not sack Patrick Mahomes and you only run the ball for like 100 and something yards, like that, all those factors like decrease your probability of beating Patrick Mahomes by so much. So yeah, like that play killed it. But dude, like, and I don't blame Jaylen Hurts at all because he made up for that fumble, like, and some. Like, he was amazing.
Yeah, I think that center that you're talking about is Creed Humphrey. I
I think
believe.
you're right, dude. Humphreys, I think, is okay.
Yeah, but that was one of the things that I saw was like Eagles were definitely dominating the game.
You're right.
They were definitely dominating the game, when you see that fumble recovery for a touchdown, you're like, you can't do this with Patrick Mahomes, right? You got it. He did make up for it, but it's like you gotta play smarter. You guys had him on the ropes. You gotta maintain ball security because if the defense is doing well and helping out Patrick Mahomes, how do you beat the Chiefs? Even being down as much as they were, I think it was only like a touchdown, maybe 10 points. I could be wrong. You just can't do it. They were showing like previous games where it's just like it doesn't matter if it's like 7-10 points. Like he came back from the Bills. Was it like last year's game in the AFC? I want to believe where it was like crazy game. He came back multiple times in that. Was able to score. It was able to win it. Again, when he went up against the Niners in a couple of Super Bowls ago, at halftime they were down 20-10. He came back and won. They did it against the Bills. He came back and won. You can't give that guy opportunities. So when you're like making mistakes where it's just like the defense is also helping out, I was just like, dude, you can't do this. You can't do it. You have main control right now. You're gonna have to like try to step it up, which he did, but it's just like. I thought what I'm trying to say is, I know I'm like rambling, but what I'm trying to say is, I thought it was going to be the Eagles' defense really stepping it up, but it was Kansas City's defense that stepped it up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not to say that Kansas City's defense played well; they allowed 35 points, but a lot of that was Jaylen Hurts converting third downs.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, how do you stop this? Like, but they stopped the run so well, man. Like I just thought that was I thought that's why they played well, but obviously it didn't make that big of a difference. And Jason, I do want to say that, the Eagles are lucky because I thought that was a fumble, dude. I forgot who caught that pass because he turned around and that guy hit that ball. Yeah,
Miles Sanders.
dude, Miles Sanders. That guy hit that ball out of his hands, dude. Like with the helmet. Like when did that become not a fumble? I thought.
I think
It's
it's I saw that too. Isn't there like 3 phases to a catch? It's
It
where
was
like
he didn't have enough time of possession. I was like, dude, well, he has 2 feet. Like, if that was on that would have been considered a catch.
2 feet and a football move.
Oh, he didn't do a football move. So
Yeah.
stupid. So
So
I thought that was a straight fumble for a touchdown again, man.
yeah.
So, anyways, Patrick Mahomes, when protected, literally, like, that's when he loses. You saw he against the Bucks, that's when he loses. And that Humphrey guy, Jason, had a crazy mullet. I think he was the guy with the mullet last night.
Nice.
And then Isiah Pacheco looked really good, Jason.
I feel like with the eye test, when you're seeing Isiah Pacheco, he always looks good. I've mentioned it in past videos where when he gets tackled, he's the first one up every time.
Except that one time, except last game.
I know. Well, I was going to go with that too, because he's like he gets hit, and he's usually like, "I want the ball, give me the ball." And like this dude's 22 years old. He's like Wolverine. He's rejuvenate like super quick, super fast, halftime. But dude, that guy got hit in the chest, and he went down, and he stayed down. And I was like, dang, maybe he might be out for the rest of the game. No, man, he was out for one game, and he came right back in.
One play. I immediately thought of DeMar or whatever, dude, with his chest because he got helmeted straight in the chest. And I was like, dude, that was way worse than what happened to DeMar. Please, God, let him be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. What did we have? I'm sure we did not have 15 rushes for 75 yards and a touchdown. But you might have actually.
It caught me off guard here. Oh, okay. I had him for 90 rushing yards, 1 catch for 0 touchdowns and 1 catch for 10. You, my friend, you had pretty close to the stat line. You had him for 9 carries, 25 yards, and 3 receptions for 25 yards.
Me? That's bad.
I mean, you were closer with. I said he was going to get 90.
I didn't see them running the ball. I really thought that the Eagles defensive line was, I think I told you, like, all these big time players like Sue and Lindell, Joseph Lindell, Fletcher Cox, dude. I thought they were going to shore up the run. No, it was crazy.
Yeah, I was more of just kind of thinking of pass Andy Reid because, when the Chiefs played against the 49ers and their great defense a couple of years ago, like I said, their running back, Darren Williams, he's not the greatest running back. I don't even know if he's still in the league right now, but he had a hell of a game. He had a couple touchdowns. I think he had at least 1 passing or 1 receiving, 1 rushing. I was trying to think maybe something like that was going to happen again. I mean, the Eagles, they do give up 4.6 yards per carry. And, Pacheco with the eye test, that dude's crazy. He's just like, give me in there, coach. Let me go out. I'm going to go right up the middle. I want to show them what I'm made of. Show them what I'm made of. Yeah. So I was thinking that was going to happen, but yeah, he was nowhere close to my prediction.
Yeah, and what I can contribute to that, I think a lot of it. So we know what a lot of it was in the first half was time of possession. Patrick Mahomes didn't have a time to throw, and then once he started throwing, he got injured real bad. And I think a lot of it was protecting him in the second half, and it was effective. So they just kept with it. So yeah, that was probably our worst call of the day, I would imagine. Banjo, please stop.
Well, I got even a worse one coming up.
All right, so let's go with. What did we do? Just Juju Smith probably for the wide receiver?
No, we did Tony. Well, I mean, we did kind of Juju Smith too. I mean, I have Juju Smith. Did you do?
Let's go over the wide receiver.
Okay, you did Juju. Okay, so these are kind of all right. Let's do Juju right now. So I had Juju as 4 receptions, 55 yards, and you had Juju 2 receptions for 25 yards. both of us had him down for 0 touchdowns. He actually led the team in receptions with 7. You know, it's only been a month and a half since he's done anything that high. And then he had 9 targets. 9 targets. More targets than Travis Kelce. And you know what? There was a time there where I thought Travis Kelce might have been hurt. I was like, he's missing a lot, but that's a whole other
He
thing.
was, dude. He was like, it was right when Patrick, dude, something happened and they showed him and he was like, he was hurt.
Yeah,
So I was kind of wondering what was going on there because he was so heavily involved in the beginning.
yeah. Maybe a
And, and
little
Juju,
bruised.
yeah, and Juju does all the short crossing stuff, a lot of the stuff that, Travis Kelce might do.
Yeah.
So
Um,
maybe that had something to do with it. That's a good call.
um, we also did MVS. I had him down for 3 receptions, 65 yards, no touchdown. You had him down as 4 receptions, 80 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think this guy only had 1 target the whole game. Yeah, 1 target with no reception. So
Yeah, dude. And the one time, like he went, like even Greg Olson's like, oh, he's got to take that wider. He had like Patrick Mahomes threw a great ball to him and he wasn't even close to it. So,
yeah,
coming off that great game, 100-yard game. Yes. So, anyways, that sucked.
yeah.
And then,
Not surprising though. Not
yeah,
surprising.
yeah. And I'm just thinking, I'm looking at this. So, did we do any more predictions?
Yeah. So we also did, like I said, we did Tony. I had him down as 5 receptions, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. You had him as 3 receptions, 35 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Um, we also did Jarrett McKinnon. I had him down as 31 yards, rushing yards, no touchdown, 3
Good.
receptions, 30 yards. And then you had him as 3 carries for 5 yards and 2 receptions for 15 yards.
I really thought that was going to be the case. He actually looked good yesterday, man.
Yeah, but he got close to scoring a touchdown. He
Yeah.
did one of their little will out plays, and he got it down to like the 1 or 2 yard line. I was like, well, I've seen this before. Um, yeah, how many rushing did he have? I had him down as 31. Oh, 34. Yeah, I was pretty close with that one.
Well, dude, like those
That's pretty
plays you
much
talk
it.
about. Yeah, and you talk about those plays. Those were all the same plays, dude. Like the jet sweep type of,
Yeah,
but then they pivot and go the other direction. I want to say something. Uh, Debo Samuel was on the Rich Eisen show last week, and he said, we had a plan to attack Philadelphia. We just weren't able to do it because our quarterback got knocked out the third play or whatever. And he said, "What was that plan? What was that plan?" And he's like, "We were going to attack the DBs. Like when the DBs see something, they bite real fast, and we'll just do secondary moves and stuff." And you saw that, Jason. Like each one of those plays, they bit, and then they were wide open. Like it was a second. So that played out huge. I think so. I didn't realize that was a huge weakness of the Eagles. I should have listened to Debo Samuel, but when I watched that, I was like, "Holy crap, dude! Debo Samuel, man, you're right. They play way too aggressive against these wide receivers in the end zone."
yeah. Those on both of those plays, if you just look at those jet sweeps, like once those wide receivers went in motion, like the DB would look at it, and I guess this is what I'm thinking, that you're automatically assuming that he's running as fast as he is, he's going to go to the other side. So you just kind of start running that way, and you're kind of like not keeping your eye on him, making judgments, but you're like, he's going to be on that side by the time they hike the ball. You just lose sight, and that's the easy way. Bam, turn around, run back, wide open touchdown. Happened twice. Happened twice.
Yeah.
And that's just like lack of discipline for that secondary and the Eagles. Like now right? I mean, I bet you they're not the only team that does that. When you see someone sprinting, like you're kind of just like you have them like in your side view, but you're also making changes in your defense. So who's covering who? But you're not, and you just realize like you make them think you're going that way, then bam, turn the other way. They're on the other side of the field.
Yeah. And as far as wide receivers next season, I'm not. I mean, I'm only interested in Tony, and that's off of a potential only, and he has a low floor. I mean, you're going to draft him for maybe like just being amazing for Patrick Mahomes next year. But hey, I mean, they've had it for half the year, and he's still not being that involved. Also, real fast, I didn't say anything about Isiah Pacheco next year. I'm still not drafting Isiah Pacheco next year. As much as I like him, I'm just not. I don't want a regular season running back for this team. Right, Jason? I can see you kind of nodding.
Yeah, right. You're not gonna catch me again. They're too frustrating. Too
Yeah.
frustrating.
And then what else was I going to say? Oh, Jason, Travis Kelce. I want to talk about him last. Dude, he looked like he was going to dominate. I think he got a little injured. We didn't see him for a while, or maybe they were just really keying in on him, but still, what do we have for him?
Yeah, so I was expecting a big game from him just because of nowhere or how well the secondary is for the Eagles, and that um, the Chiefs don't really have wide receivers to throw the ball to. I was thinking he was going to get like an easy 11 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Um, you had him down as 9 receptions, 115 yards, and 1 touchdown. And when I was like watching the game, I was like, that first quarter, I was like, dude, this is what I expected to happen, right? Like he
Me
had
too.
what, like 4 receptions, like 40 yards and a touchdown on their first drive or something like that. And I was just like, dude, this is what I expect to happen because Travis Kelce right now is the best tight end in the league, in the best offense, but the best coach and the best the MVP quarterback. Like they're just gonna exploit this defense and just like destroy them. But as we talked about, like I don't know if he got hurt or if there's some sort of game plan, but he kind of went radio silence there for a bit.
Well, Jason, as soon as he caught that first drive, I was like, oh my god, I under predicted Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh man, I should have said like 150 and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, man, like so there's just weird stuff in this game. I mean, he was on his way, he still caught everything. Also, if I would have just picked, I should have just, even if next fantasy football playoff challenge, I'm just going to pick Travis Kelce. I don't even care who else I think is going to win the Super Bowl. This guy alone will outproduce a 4 times or anybody, whatever any other tight end can get you in like one game. So that was my biggest mistake, I think, in the fantasy football playoffs, because I don't mind betting on 2 teams, but I put Hayden Hurst in there thinking I really wanted to just get the 4-time multiplier in the Super Bowl, but that doesn't matter, dude. Just pick Travis Kelce next year.
Yeah, I think the guy who came in first in our league, he had Travis Kelce from the start, so he got quadruple points.
Dude, yeah. So that's how it goes. I mean, right before we started that fantasy football challenge, I was trying to stress to you guys the final game in the Super Bowl carries so much weight. It's ridiculous. I mean, I was up by a ton of points, and now I'm down by a ton of points. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough because one of the players that I had in was AJ Brown, and he got me around like 80 points. But
Yeah,
the guy
you
who
were smart,
won,
man.
his whole team had like around triple, quadruple points. He ended up getting like 385 points.
Yeah, because
I sent him the money this morning. So
oh, that's right. I'm gonna send your. Sorry, dude. PayPal is not recognizing my passwords right now, and I want to do it on my. It was not. I was trying to do it on my phone. It wasn't working, so I was gonna do it on this. You're getting your money, Jason. Back off.
I need it, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
There's an interest coming in. They're
Uh,
making me interested.
yeah. But anyways, so that was the Super Bowl. I think it rates as a classic. I mean, one of the top Super Bowls of all time, as far as I mean, there's been a lot of Super Bowls that have not been very competitive. This was competitive, has a lot of drama. Even at the end, dude, we're going to still be talking about it for years to come. And this is like now, now Patrick Mahomes is better than Aaron Rodgers. There's not even a debate anymore, dude. I've heard it like 5 times today. So this was a very important Super Bowl.
Yeah. And you also called it earlier, especially with our short. We were talking about, we had like 2 shorts kind of like back to back. You were talking about like even if he didn't win the Super Bowl, you got to already say that he's likely better than Aaron Rodgers. But now that he won, I mean, there's no, you can't even debate it. I still think he's chasing Tom Brady a little bit, but also, and then the other short, we were talking about how strong the defensive line is for the Eagles, but you don't, you said it yourself, you don't care because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and look what happened. Like, yeah, he scrambled a few times, he hurt his ankle, he had to put in his binky, and at halftime, and he came back out and he was okay, but he did what needed to be done to win. He didn't have to put up the huge numbers. He stuck to the script, and he was able to get the win. I do think this is going to be a talked about Super Bowl for a long time. It was a pretty good Super Bowl, and there's going to be a call in there people are going to discuss for a while.
I do want to say shout out to that Bradbury guy because he came out. I don't know if you saw this, Jason.
I
He
did.
said, "Hey, it was a hole. It was a hold. I pulled on his jersey to like trying to catch up to him. I didn't think anybody was going to see it, but it was really a hold. But it was a ticky tack hold. I mean, it was a hold, but I don't want those holds being called, man.
Yeah, that's what I was like trying to say earlier. Was like, yeah, it was a penalty, but at the time when it happened, it was a ticky tack penalty. Like, if you're going to call that, you need to call the other 500 times that ticky tack happened during the game. You waited till there was a minute left, and it's crucial. I don't know. And Patrick Mahomes pointing and being like, "That's a foul."
Don't give Patrick. And one great thing about this Super Bowl, people, you probably didn't realize it because they weren't there. Patrick Mahomes' wife and brother were nowhere to be seen. It was amazing. We all loved it. NFL, thank you. Kansas City Chiefs, thank you.
Yeah. That was like one of discussions too. I was talking about. I was like, I wonder if like the wife and the brother are here, and people were like, "Well, I hope they're not."
Dude, they like the NFL wiped them off of the face of the earth, man.
As they should.
They didn't even show them in their box or anything. They're like, we're not doing it. We don't want all this hate mail.
All right.
I don't want to deal with this. And I do want to say also, people were flipping out about the 49ers trying to block Hassan Reddick with the tight end a couple weeks ago because that was a play that Brock Purdy got injured. Dude, there was like 4 or 5 times Kansas City Chiefs were blocking him. So I don't know what it was with the Kansas City Chiefs like blocking scheme, but they did so well this game, man. I don't know. I thought that kind of stood out that Hassan Reddick was a non-factor and he was getting blocked by tight ends.
Well, I know, man. I really thought that defensive line was going to just be better. And you saw the Chiefs defensive line were making Jaylen Hurts scramble and throw the ball away a lot.
Yeah, and you saw that huge run for Jaylen Hurts. Like Chris Jones was like penetrating, and then he had to do a swim move, and it's like he went, and then he was on the opposite side of the defender, and Jaylen Hurts just took. It is so hard, man, to defend Jaylen Hurts. It's like you have to like limit your moves because if you try to go around, if you do a swim move, it's like you have to bowl him or something, and then just play off of it. It's pretty crazy.
Also, I just want to throw this in there because we're talking about like how the Chiefs this, the Chiefs that, the Eagles, and blah blah blah. As of January 20th, 2023, Andy Reid is 27-4 after a bye week.
Yeah, and they mentioned like he had an extra 15 minutes because like it's not like I've been watching a lot of stuff, but how much can you really adjust during halftime? Really not much. Like they talked like it was Tony Dungy said, he thought it was like the first Super Bowl and he thought he had all this time and everything. And by the time he got out there, they said, "Hey, we need you out there right now." So he just said, "All right, guys, let's play some good football or something." Then they went out and they dominated, and everybody's like, "Man, halftime adjustments," and it's like he didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I do think that Andy Reid at least had time to think about how to protect Patrick Mahomes. Also, this just happened to Patrick Mahomes, so at least they kind of had a practice, him getting super injured.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a game plan.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning said the same thing. He's like, if people talk about halftime adjustments, he's like, the only halftime adjustment I made was, to figure out what type of orange I was going to eat and to use the restroom. And then I was back out there on the field.
Yeah, they were talking about Troy Aikman was saying today, he's like, "Hey, do you think any of them cared about Rihanna?" And he's like, "Well, I was the Super Bowl. He was a Super Bowl. His first Super Bowl was Michael Jackson's thing. And I guess like everybody was just so focused on it, but Michael Irvin snuck out and watched the whole halftime show."
Oh, wow.
And he's like, didn't surprise anybody. And I don't know what the stats were, but I'm sure he did well in that game.
Well, if they were against the Bills, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they won. So yeah, Jason, I think going for like, I do want to say that the Achilles heel, I did not know about this until Sean Payton started talking about this, of the Eagles was their kicking game. Like they're just punting punt coverage, everything. And dude, that was one of the biggest plays of the game. You know, when Tony, they said that wall up. Did you see that wall? I mean, Tony did an amazing juke, but then they had that wall for him.
Yeah.
And so that came up to bite him.
He juked 4 Eagles. It looked like he was going down after 5 yards, right? Tony went in there 5 yards. I was like, oh, he's out of there. No. He was all boom, and he ran all the way on the other side of the field. I thought he was going to score a touchdown. They were able to kind of get a good angle on him. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, the Eagles are doing this to themselves because that was poor. That was poor.
So, yeah. And so, like, say you allow that, you have a fumble return for a touchdown. And what was the other thing, Jason? I couldn't remember. Oh, because I was like, you can't allow this stuff to happen with Patrick Mahomes, dude. Like,
Defense.
your odds. Nah, there was something else, man. I can't remember it. Doesn't really matter.
Not sack him.
No, it's no sacks. You can't no sack him, give him a fumble return for a touchdown, and then almost a punt return for a touchdown. And pretty much was. I mean, you saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, dude, the Eagles are lucky they kept it so close. And it was all being, and I feel so bad for Jaylen Hurts, man. Because I really like him now. I like how serious he is, dude. Nick Sirianni was like flipping people off. Did you see that?
No, I saw him crying.
And then Jaylen Hurts like took his hand down. And was like, you got to stop that. It's like, dude, who is the coach and who is the player here?
Yeah. Well, you know, Jaylen Hurts is very humble. I mean, look what has happened to him in his college career and, you know, in the Eagles. I do want to say that they did show a stat there, and this is probably the last year that, you know, he's not a secret anymore. People know of him. His first, you know, season, his completion percentage was 55%, and then it went up 61 to 61%, and this last year was 66%. That's 11% change, and that's huge. And like he played it well, so you know it's out there. The dude could throw the ball. He could throw the ball when he need to, and he could run. He's a dual threat. He just has to stay. He has to stay healthy.
Dude.
Also, if I heard right, he was MVP runner up too.
Dude, and AJ Brown is going to be on that team for a while, and you can just bomb it, and he adjusts. Like he is. I never realized how, dude, that guy had no idea where the ball was, and he just looked back and tracked it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an amazing play by Jaylen Hurts. But your story about that completion percentage, it reminds me so much of Josh Allen, dude. So much. And so I do I mean, Josh Allen was still like a you know, almost won you a league anyways in a bad year when he stepped, you know, when anyways, he was injured and he regressed apparently. I'm hoping that Brian Daboll-ish, you know, that offensive coordinator is not like the same thing for losing Brian Daboll to Jaylen Hurts, because I really do like Jaylen Hurts. I want him to continue to get better. So we'll have to see about that. I do believe they're going to run him next year, like I said, until he gets paid. So like I'm not too concerned. Like he's almost my number 2. Like these are almost my number 1, number 2 quarterbacks going into next year fantasy football right now. And maybe the year after that I'd have to reconsider it, but we'll have to see.
I'm okay with that. You can't go wrong with getting Jaylen Hurts. You can't go wrong with getting Jaylen Hurts.
Did you hear that, Jason?
Was that your dog?
No, that was I farted.
Oh, just sound like a piece of barking spider, just like
dead air.
Dead air.
All right, man. Well, I mean, really, that was a great Super Bowl. Andy Reid, I was kind of halfway expecting that fool to retire. I have not seen if Jason Kelce is retiring. He had another year on his deal, so he's got one more year on his deal.
I kind of thought if he was going to win a Super Bowl, he would retire.
That's what I thought
hope
too.
He retires, and that's just the base because I want that dude out of the NFC East. Get him out of there.
Yeah, and even if Andy Reid does retire, I don't care, dude. Like I think he helps Patrick Mahomes a lot, but he'd still be my number 1 quarterback next year.
Yeah, I think Andy Reid's still going to be around for a while.
Man, you saw him walking up. Man, he walks like he's on the death's doorstep or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bill Belichick is still older than him.
Yeah, but the health, dude. I mean, big Red is
Yeah.
got some. He probably's got some heart stress going on.
In case anybody was wondering, the color of the Gatorade was purple.
See, I turned it off, man, because I was so upset.
You know what? We had like a little bet going on, so we tried finding it. We couldn't even find it. They didn't even show it on national TV. I think we had to like go to Twitter to find it.
Yeah, then there was an actual prop bet. Did you see like that DraftKings thing where they had Gronkowski kicking a field goal live, and like people could bet a bunch of money on it?
Yeah. Okay. So I thought he made it. And
I was like, how was that a miss? It went right through the middle.
I know. I was like, is this a joke? Because I thought he made it, and then he was crying. I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't know that was a real thing. That's funny.
Anyways, hey, this was our first season, Jason, doing fantasy football TV show. Thank you
Yep.
so much, man. Like, to you, Jason, and to the fans. We have, I mean, I think like 20 or 25 of them are related to us, but there's like 50 real people here.
Yeah. We're gonna probably get a little subscriptions are gonna like slow down a little bit, but Tyler and I are still gonna work on material to give you at least every Friday. We're gonna put out a little schedule so we know what we could do, what we could talk about, because everything that we say you want to listen to, so you can help annihilate your friends in the upcoming fantasy football season.
Yeah. And so, like Jason said, we will be coming out with beer. We're going to be drinking and talking football, or maybe just sports in general, depending, if it's around the NBA playoffs or something like that, maybe, because I don't care about the regular season. And, there's a lot of NFL is most of the year, dude. There might be like 1 month that's like just completely dead. I can't remember what it is. Rich Eisen always talks about it.
I feel like June,
Dude,
April,
July, maybe? Can't remember.
July's when training camp happens.
Okay, then so probably June or something.
I think June is when OTAs start. May is the draft. I bet you it's April.
Yeah. So, but hey, man, good news is that Jason and I like I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan and I'm a huge basketball fan. Jason's a huge basketball fan. Plus, we just like sports anyways and pop culture. So we will be here. So please continue to watch us.
Yeah. And before this goes out, I just want to say I think this has been fun, Tyler. This has been fun. This has like been 6 months. I'm so glad that you came up with this idea that I agreed to do with you. Thank you for inviting me to your success here. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to do this. This is fun. We're still here, and we're still going to do it. We're still going to keep doing this. I think Friday I might want to do something where we kind of look back to our old videos and see what predictions we did that we got right and what predictions to go wrong. Because one thing that will have us a little bit different from other shows, we'll admit when we're wrong. I'm okay with that. We're human. We're human.
I'm married. I say I'm sorry all the time.
I'm married. I'm wrong all the time.
So that's why that's just natural for me, man.
Yeah. It just comes to bring.
Anyways, yeah. So check in Friday, beer time breakdown. Thanks again for watching. Keep on subscribing, people. Jason, say your goodbyes to these people.
Goodbye. Goodbye, good people. I don't know what to say.
Catch you on the flip side. Oh,